This meeting is being transcribed and summarized.
All right, let the record reflect, it's 8:38, and we have, we're going to start the audit meeting. What is it? I guess Samantha, would you call the roll, please? Is that who we're putting that out to, George, still? I know you've got some personnel changes, but is Samantha still calling the roll?
Yes, sir. We have a new addition, but Samantha's still calling the roll.
Excellent, excellent.
Good morning, Councilmember Roland Barrera.
Here.
Sylvia Campos. Here. Mark Scott.
Here.
Kaylin Paxson.
Is parking, from what I understand.
Okay.
All right, okay, so, let's see, as I said, it is 8:38. Okay, so we're gonna move on to public comment. I assume that we're gonna have public comment, so we do things a little bit, we don't have a time to sign up, so just get up in line. Who would like to make public comment first? Sure, feel free, sir. Yeah, feel free. Here we go. And please state your name, what city you're from?
Sure. My name is Wayne Dolcefino.
Just 1 second. Do you have a timer on, Samantha? Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
I better talk fast. I'm Wayne Dolcefino from Dolcefino Media. We, because no one else seems to care, we filed a waste, fraud, and abuse complaint regarding the discrepancies between the values of the residents in property and the building permits. I have not heard a word, so I would like someone to tell me what the status of our complaint is. We also say that the auditor should not be, and his office, should not be within a mile of any of these hotel fights. First of all, he has the same lawyer as Ajit David, and even under the most generous of circumstances, that's a conflict of interest. Why city council members allowed him to conduct the investigation into these other hotel guys is beyond me. I will also deliver another message, and this is meant for the city attorney's office as well as the audit committee. We paid $4,000 for records from the city. The city took our money, cashed our check, and now won't give it back to us and is going to the attorney general to get an opinion. We also just got a cost estimate of $10,000 for emails between 4 individuals and some phone records. And the city is going to charge us for the alleged manipulation of data. I am not an IT guy, but emails and phone records do not need to be manipulated. And so I'm putting the city on notice now that I'm going to file another waste, fraud, and abuse complaint regarding the city attorney's office and the handling of our open records requests. And if I don't get a satisfactory response by next week, I'm letting you know now, and I don't threaten people, I just do, we will sue the city. And if you want another lawsuit and want to waste more taxpayer money on playing games with records, then that's your choice. But somebody's got to get somebody to not play games with us, because we don't play games. We have a record of filing lawsuits all over this state over open records, and I don't mind doing it again. And so I want to leave you with, I want an explanation of where my waste, fraud, and abuse complaint is. Why hasn't it been acted on? Why is it not on the agenda? And why is Mr. Holland being allowed to conduct investigations where he has a clear conflict of interest? The investigation of Mr. Ajit or the Homewood guys or Apple Pie or Motherhood, his office cannot do any of these investigations in which Mr. Allison is involved. That's my interest, Mr. Allison. We're investigating water contracts down here. The hotel fight to me is a sort of an aside, right? But it demonstrates this weird, bizarre, myopic view that you could call one people cheaters and ignore the other guy who is doing essentially the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dolcefino. And then we'll ensure that someone gets back with you adequately. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. All right, next, Ms. Saldana, Susie Saldana, please state your,
Thank you.
your
Well,
city
the
and name.
previous commenter kind of took some of the things that I had to bring forward. But let me tell you something that I do want to bring forward. We will be officially filing for you to do an audit on the residential inns downtown with David Ajit and the one at the Marriott on the island concerning the $2 million that you have given them, concerning the violation of permits. And we do not want the auditor involved in it because of the obvious conflict of interest that there is. We want to make sure that this is done independently and it's done the right way and it is equal. That you all take a good look at what is there. There are violations being committed, and I know that you get advice from attorneys from the city, but like it was said at yesterday's city council meeting, you usually don't have to follow what the city attorney says. You take his opinion and make your decisions based on the knowledge that you have. So we're asking you to do just that. Take their opinions, but do what is right for the people in Corpus Christi. And what is right is that you do an audit concerning these two people. They're in violation, just like you did it for the other one. There's ethical violations, and I heard a lot about ethical violations yesterday. There are ethical violations concerning the auditor. There are ethical violations concerning these two people that have taken permits and done what they want to, and they're being allowed to get away with it. Why? Because they can. So I'm asking you to take a look at it. We will follow up with a formal letter, though.
Thank you, Ms. Saldana. Would anyone else like to make public comment? Please state your name and city.
Hello, Sandra Meyer from Corpus Christi. I pulled up a thing this morning that says, audits create trust. Trust builds confidence. Confidence powers markets. And I'm going to say it will power the city. Yesterday, I really felt like y'all were speaking, at the city council was speaking a different language because there was so much discussion about ethics and trust and conflicts of interest. And I didn't understand, because to me, especially in the audit world, objectivity, conflicts of interest is, I don't know, I'm sorry for being nervous at the moment, it is so important for auditors to be objective, to follow the ethics policy. It doesn't matter if they're CPAs, CIAs, CISAs, fraud examiners. All auditors have the same need to be objective, independent, use due professional care. And I'm really concerned that we've somehow gotten off track here. And I'm here because I care. If I take time to do an ethics complaint, it's because I care. I care for the city, I care for all the people. I care that y'all are proposing spending $25,000 to have the Institute of Internal Auditors do a peer review. Well, I go with the $3,000 one. The cities understand is I'm officially filing a complaint with the Institute of Internal Auditors in case I am confused on what ethics means, on what conflicts of interest are. Conflicts of interest are more than just money changing. There's a whole variety of things, but what y'all do is so important to help the city and to help departments, but they have got to be able to trust you. And I think my time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. All right, anyone else? Yes, sir. Mr. Please state your name and city. And by the way, let the record reflect that Councilmember Paxton has joined us.
Steve Klepper, District 2. Most of you probably know that June is Hurricane Awareness Week, a month. We feel a hurricane, I kind of felt a hurricane blowing in here right now. What I wanted to talk about was Governor Abbott's proclamation that the month of May, where we are, is Internal Audit Awareness Week. There's been a lot of things said that I'd like to comment, but I want to stay to my main point was the importance of the Internal Audit Department, how the Internal Auditor was established by a charter change in 2010, where the voters wanted accountability, transparency, and office reporting directly to council to ensure that independence and objectivity. Most people don't understand the difference between internal and external auditing. They are entirely different. The internal auditor is working to improve the efficiencies, effectiveness, and provide some accountability for the office. And actually, all the large cities in Texas have an internal auditing department. Austin, Fort Worth, all of them. And I used to work for two of them, the city of Dallas as performance auditor, and I was audit director for Austin. I've seen a lot of really kind of strange things going on here. And I encourage, I respect this committee and value the role. I want to encourage you to continue to ensure that the auditor has access to the records that he needs to ensure Section 12.5.4 of the city charter, where performing its duties, the office of the city auditor shall have direct access to all records, information, properties, blah, 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 blah. And I think we have some issues of where some departments are kind of disputing what is the definition of is here. So again, Governor Abbott proclaimed May, the month we're in, is Internal Audit Awareness Month. By employing internal auditors, entities across Texas can ensure they are executing the best practices and organizational policies possible to maintain high standards of accountability and efficiency demanded by the public. And my bias is I was a certified internal auditor. I've got 15 years of audit experience. I've worked for 27 years. I've retired from this city. I've seen every auditor come and go. I'm familiar with all of them. And I want to encourage this committee to continue promoting auditing for the city and giving them the resources and support that they need. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. All right. Is there anyone else? All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. My apologies. I want to put this so that way it doesn't distract me, so I can devote my full attention. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move along to the first item is just to approve the minutes. Do I hear a motion to accept? All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion by Board Member Paxson and a second by Board Member Campos. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move along to the auditor has requested that we move the city auditor's update to the top of the agenda. So go ahead, George.
Okay. Thank you, Audit Committee Chair. Much appreciated. Good morning, everyone. The City Auditor's Office is proud to announce that we're coordinating with Visit Corpus Christi and 2 San Antonio professional organizations. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. We'll host at the Art Museum of South Texas an event on July 31st. We'll have people from all over the state attend. And I think it's going to be a real boost to the downtown, having 50 people attend and spend money. We've really want to thank Visit Corpus Christi for helping put that on, as well as the San Antonio professional chapters of auditors that will be here. So we open that up to anyone else that would like to attend as well. It's open to the public. The second thing is all staff remain in full compliance with continuing professional education requirements, and we continue to support the timely and effective taking that training so it helps us do our audits more effectively as well. The CEO strengthened its team by adding Jody Overton, who's, Jody, would you like to say hello, a little bit about yourself?
Hi, how are you? So good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Jody Ann Overton, and this week made 3 months with the great city of Corpus Christi, the City Auditor's Office. My background includes both internal and external audit, so I'm able to relate to a lot that was said here, as well as an extensive compliance experience. I've also held roles in finance and accounting, along with production control and quality roles, which have strengthened my understanding of operational processes. I've served these roles in companies such as Deloitte, Lockheed Martin, Unilever, as well as Pitney Bowes. I look forward to leveraging this diverse...
Jody, could you move the microphone a little bit closer to you?
Sure.
No, yeah, there you go.
I look forward to leveraging this diverse experience obtained over 15 years to support the CAO's commitment to accountability, transparency, and effective governance. I'm eager to collaborate with the Audit Committee and contribute to strengthening oversight and adding value to the city's operation. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Jody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're excited to have Jody. Also like to announce the promotion of Joseph Lopez to senior auditor. Joseph, how long have you been with the city? Can you say a few words?
Close to 5 years. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity and the confidence placed in me.
J-Lo, pull it to, I'm sorry, I call him J-Lo. Yeah, pull the microphone closer to you there.
Good morning, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity and the confidence placed in me, and I look forward to contributing and delivering value to the city.
Thank you, Joseph.
Okay. The next item is that we have Optro, which is now, it was formerly called Audit Board Software. That's our audit documentation tool. We implemented that on February 26th, and it's fully operational. And I want to acknowledge Tiffany for taking the lead on that. She did a tremendous job in making sure that that got implemented. And I want to appreciate the audit committee for supporting the purchasing of that software. It was really instrumental in helping us fully document all of our requirements. And then the next thing is we updated our policy.
If I might want to add, I want to thank the committee and the council for putting that investment to help us to create some efficiencies. I know we'd had an antiquated system, and thank you for bringing it to us. What is it? Because obviously it was more money, and I just want to say that the committee and the council are behind you to get that done.
Yes, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And thank you. I can't say thank you enough. Okay. The city auditor guide was updated. That's our policies and procedures. So we have updated that, and actually Jody took that on as one of her first responsibilities, and it really is key to have good policies and procedures. And when we do our audits throughout the different departments within the city, that's often a theme that we see, either the lack of policies or procedures or that they haven't been updated in a long time. So we want to be good stewards of our policies and procedures. So I want to thank Jody for taking the lead on that. With that, as part of succession planning, we try to develop all of our team members to take an active role in audit committee so that they can assume leadership roles going forward. With that, the projects that are in progress will be handled by Amir to describe, and then I'll jump in as need be at the end. Thank you.
Good morning, Audit Committee member. Amir Hussein, Audit Manager. So the current project we have on hand right now is the resource and recruiting and pre-porting. And we would like to thank you, sir, for your follow-up on our requests. Thank you for investing this time. And also, we have a 5 years follow-up dashboard included here. And we are conducting right now 3 under review investigations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The list of projects that are completed are listed here. We're going to talk about the Human Resources Employee Beneficiary Verification Audit. We've completed the Engineering Waldron Road Towson Audit Report, who we have online right now. We have the Finance Hilliard Center American Bank Center Audit Report, or formerly known as American Bank Center. We also have the Police Department Property Room Follow-Up, and then we also will give a brief update on our Fraud, Waste, and Abuse Prevention Program. And then we'll talk about the next proposed calendar, which is the June 9th Audit Committee. And we're suggesting maybe a little more time to reconvene on August 4th, but if we recognize that that's a decision by the Audit Committee, we just recommend that. And then finally, I'd like to make an announcement and take the opportunity to announce my retirement and to thank the Audit Committee, the full City Council, City Manager, the Mayor, and most importantly, my team, and for the privilege and opportunity to work for the great city during the past 3.5 years. Most of all, I'd like to thank the taxpayers, because they're the ones, without me being the watchdog, we would never have established in 2010 the audit department. So I believe the audit department is well suited with the qualifications and experience that they have, and through collaboration with the city departments to identify performance improvements within the city and hundreds of thousands in cost savings. And we've done that. And in order to ensure a smooth, bless you, in order to ensure a smooth transition and then say goodbye, my last day with the city will be June 1st. Thank you.
Board Member Campos, you have something you'd like to add?
Well, it's a surprise, George, and I am very sorry to hear about this, but I am grateful. I am so grateful for your time here. I know that auditing, this audit department is doing such a fantastic job, and it has grown so much. The professionalism is just outstanding.
Thank you.
And it starts with the top. There's been so many things going on in these last couple of years. It can't be easy. But I do wish you the best. I do appreciate everything that you did for our city. You're right. I mean, this department, this responsibility, the history, I've been here all my life. And I remember, what was his name? He was the Taxpayers Association president. I want to say Green.
Joe O'Brien.
Joel O'Brien, oh my God, I remember him coming like, week after week advocating for an independent auditor. And it took forever to get this position. And I am just so grateful that we had the time and that, again, that you were able to establish a good rapport. And, it's I just say that what happens, or whenever a leader comes into a room, it's what you leave behind that really counts. And I think you have left a very, very strong leadership team here. So again, congratulations on your next endeavor.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for all
Thank
that
you.
you've done.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Paxton?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Holland, this is unexpected news, but thank you for sharing it with us today. It has been it's been an honor to be able to support a department that means so much to the city. As it was said in several iterations this morning, this department plays a key role in protecting and guiding and assisting the city forward into the future and making sure that we are diligent and responsible with the taxpayers' dollars and operations that support that. So you have brought, in my short time here, you have brought a lot of opportunity for this team for continued education, for improvements to software, to leave the department in a strong position, and it's been an honor to support those. So we appreciate your work, and we wish you the best of luck in your next adventures.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, okay, then, is that the end of your update?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
There are attachments, but we'll leave that to anybody if they have any questions regarding these attachments.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a motion to amend the fiscal year 26 annual audit plan. Who do we have for that, George?
I can take that one. And we're adding one additional audit, and this is I don't have it in front of me. Did you want to take that? Okay. Do you have a page? Okay, I've got it. Okay, so this is one audit that we're adding under developmental services. This is regarding permits and licensing, and the objective is to evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness of the permitting process requested by the department director and assistant director of the department. And that's and also going to include insurance services, office scoring for purposes. So we've added that as A5 to the audit plan.
That's at the request of Development Services? That's what you indicated?
Michael Dice, I believe, and others, yes.
Excellent.
It was to follow up on some work we did.
Excellent.
Need
a motion?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Is there a second? All right, there's been a motion by Board Member Scott and a second by Board Member Paxton. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, the motion carries. All right. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the motion to accept the Waldron Road closeout.
Great. Yes, sir, and we have Kelly Arnold on the call, and she represents Talson Solutions, who's our partner. We co-source with Talson Solutions to do our engineering audits. They bring a wealth of experience. They do this in very many other locations, cities, states, localities. And Kelly, with that, I'll hand over to you. Can you hear me?
Over to Ken Brzezowski to kick us off.
Great, thanks, Kelly. I'm glad to be here virtually from sunny Philadelphia and Denver, Colorado, to the Audit Committee. We extend our apologies for not being able to be there in person. We look forward to our presentation and the resulting discussions. Before we start, I do want to say thank you to Engineering Services and the Office of the City Auditor for their support in conducting and finalizing this audit. And I would also be remiss if I didn't say thank you to George for his unbridled support to Towson and his passion to the city of Corpus Christi. We are also surprised by his announcement. I am Ken Brzezowski, Director of Audit Services with Towson Solutions. With me this morning is Kelly Arnold. We will briefly present the results of the construction contract closeout audit for the Waldron Road project. I do believe there's a PowerPoint presentation. Is that being shared on screen? Excellent. So moving to the project summary slide, the project featured selective replacement of concrete pavement panels along with other improvements from the Purdue Road to San Padre Island Drive area. The audit specifically assessed and focused on closeout processes and confirming contractual deliverables. Audit activities were performed on-site in November of 2025 by Towson Solutions, with the final report issued in February of 2026 with full details of the audit. The engineer of record was Half Associates. Construction was performed by JE Construction Services under a $2.3 million contract award. The contract award included approximately $160,000 of allowances. Notice to proceed from the city was issued in November of 2022. Substantial completion was obtained in June of 2023. And a final release of retention and final payment was completed in June of 2024. I will note that there were 2 change orders issued for this project. They were both deductive change orders, which reduced the contract value by about $80,000 due to unused allowances. We move to the next slide. The audit scope and work performed included assessing JE Construction's compliance with their contract, specifically focused on closeout obligations, deliverables to the city, and reporting to the city. We assessed the city's compliance, specifically engineering services, compliance with internal project closeout procedures, policies, and receipt of contractual documentation. We also evaluated the solicitation bid award process by the city, which included the appropriateness and alignment with industry best practices and city requirements. We also assessed project administration practices by the engineer, the contractor, and the city. So some specific documentation that was reviewed included the bid tabs for the project. There were 4 bidders for this project that were deemed responsible. We reviewed the conformed contract. We reviewed as-built and record drawings for the work that was performed, as well as all project closeout checklists and other documentation that was provided by JE Construction, which included certified payroll, pay estimates, invoices, City of Corpus Christi acceptance memorandum, and other project-related documentation. Virtual and in-person interviews were conducted as part of the audit. We did include a site visit where we walked the project site with the Director of Engineering Services, the inspector, and project manager from the City of Corpus Christi. Audit results on the next slide. JE Construction and the city were found to be generally compliant with their contract and policies and procedures with minor exceptions. The project experienced minimal schedule delays and, as mentioned, was delivered under budget by approximately $80,000 due to the unused allowances. There was no financial risk or evidence of fraud, illegal acts, or ethical violations identified as a result of the audit. We did identify 2 minor findings which related to contractual obligations. We will note that engineering services partially agreed to both findings, and recommendations have been provided for consideration by the city, along with management responses received from engineering services. For notation and purposes of the audit, the definitions of a finding is an area where there is an observation or a notation of non-compliance to a contractual provision or a stated policy or procedure. An observation, of which there were none for this particular audit, would be an area where there would be a potential issue that could result or become a finding in a future state. So at this time, I'm going to pass it off to Kelly, who's going to walk us through the 2 findings.
Thank you, Ken. So as Ken mentioned, there were 2 findings for this project. The first finding is with regards to the minority business and disadvantaged business compliance reporting. The MBE DBE goals for this project were set at 45% minority participation and 15% MBE participation. These goals are applicable to all city-awarded construction work, including approved change orders, and regardless of federal participation per General Conditions Article 23 of the contract. Non-compliance items were noted. The non-compliance items that were noted were 1, a final MBE DBE participation reporting supported by paid subcontractor invoices was not submitted to the city per the engineer, and that is in accordance with Article 23.04. The second non-compliance item was that JE Construction did not submit reporting summarizing minority workforce participation compared to the contract goals reportings that would be supported by the biweekly payroll submissions. The recommendation, the city should either enforce the existing Article 23 requirements or update the MBE, DBE, and minority participation provisions in the contract to align with current business practices and recent federal and state guidelines, including consideration of veteran-owned businesses. The management response from engineering services is a partially agrees. The corrective action is that they have reevaluated Article 23, the MBE and minority participation general conditions article, and updated the form and provided it for review. Finding number 2 is specific to the evidence of continuing insurance coverage. So contract general condition article 6.05, 6.12, and 29.04 requires the submission of continuing insurance coverage for commercial general liability insurance at final payment, and for each year after final payment for a period of 3 years. JE Construction did not submit the continuing commercial general liability insurance certificate for the period of the 3rd year covering July 2025 to July 2026. The recommendation is the city should require the contractor to provide proof of ongoing insurance coverage with the final payment request prior to releasing final payment and annually thereafter as required by the contract. The management response is a partially agrees. Engineering services partially agrees. The contractor did not submit proof of continued insurance coverage. However, engineering services in the legal department determined that the requirement provides limited value and poses low project risk. As a result, the contract language has been revised. And that concludes the 2 findings. Are there any questions or comments?
And I wish engineering was here. They're on their way. All right. I guess here, Michael, I guess you'll have to help, or maybe Elizabeth, So we have, I guess, Article 23 requirement or update on the MDBE and minority participation. Now, it said that we have a goal of 45% minority participation. That's workforce. Am I to assume that's workforce? Kelly?
Correct, it's workforce.
Okay, so how do we determine that? How do we determine that goal?
So I think it'd be best if engineering services could, you know, they're on their way right now. I think Jeff Edmonds is on the way. I know the meeting was rescheduled a few times, so if you could allow us to, here's Ratna.
Oh, Ratna's here, all right.
So,
She's in the hot seat,
yeah.
in the warm seat. Because, good morning, good morning. Let to reflect, we have the highly qualified individuals from engineering. So right now, there's a presentation, I guess we're providing the Towson results, and the first finding was the MDBE compliance report. How did we determine a 45% minority workforce goal? Put your microphone on, please. And please state your name and department for the record.
Okay, I'm Melinda Gunther Martin, Project Control Manager with the Engineering Department. I've been working with the Towson group, and I just needed to know what the question was.
Okay, well, can you go back to that slide? The audit finding number one is finding number one, MBE, DBE compliance reporting. And it says the MBE, can we go back to that slide, please? Who's handling? There we go. Audit finding number one. And mind you, how do we determine the goal of 45%? That's minority workforce participation?
I believe that's part of our contract agreement. Is Janet Whitehead?
All right, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna table this item temporarily until we can
Okay.
get everybody to come back, so that way we can get you guys answered. So go ahead, then we're gonna move on then to the Hilliard Center audit report. So right now, I hate to move you guys, but
That's fine.
yeah. I'm gonna ask my questions with regard to participation and how we come to the goals and about the contract that we have. Okay. And then I'm gonna go on to the insurance one as well. So I have questions.
If I may, Chairman, if I may, on that article, what is it, 23?
23.
Okay, do we know if that's a federal guideline, a state guideline, a city guideline? What is that?
Well, they're gonna have Janet come back from legal. So that
Okay.
we can do that. We can answer.
Okay.
So we'll come back to it as soon as we get staff here. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on then to the motion to accept Plan and Economic Development Hilliard Center, previously American Bank Center audit report. George, Mr. Holland?
Thank you. We have a presentation prepared, and Amir will be presenting on the overall findings and recommendations.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Amir Hussein, Audit Manager. I would like to express our appreciation to OVG management and economic development also in helping facilitating the audit procedures. So I'm going to present American Bank Center, known as Hilliard Center audit. So the objective for this audit was to assess management of the third-party entity, OVG, over Hilliard Center and the effectiveness of its compliance with the City of Corpus Christi contribution and contractual requirements. The scope of the audit, the scope period of the audit was from October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2025. We had a scope limitation during the audit, which is the absence of audited financial statement for 2022 through 2025 and the reported unavailability of the management company's previous accounting system, SAGE, prevented us from conducting cost and liability tests and other essential financial analysis. And here I want to state our conclusion, our overall conclusion from this audit, which is stated in the executive summary, page number 2. in the audit report. So our overall conclusion is the management operational framework appears effective in attracting new events and increasing the facility utilization. However, at the same time, the audit identified gaps in governance, documentation, and financial transparency that limit the city's ability to fully demonstrate accountability, verify financial and performance results. So what we did in this audit? So the work performed, page number 3 in the presentation, is we interviewed staff members in the city's planning and economic development, finance department, and OVG. We conducted walkthrough at Hilliard Center, Selena Auditorium, and the Convention Center, and the ticket box office as well. We reviewed and tested contracts between the City of Corpus Christi, OVG, Ticketmaster, and third-party vendors. We reviewed and tested some of the bank account deposit withdrawal and balances. We reviewed the naming right processes. We reviewed also some expenses and capital improvements. We evaluated the internal controls related to the financial management in the city and OVG finance departments. We reviewed and discussed best practice with other Texas cities to understand how they monitor contracts for convention centers. And here we, in the next slide, we distinguish between what we consider findings and what we consider observations. So the finding is an issue where the department or the auditee is non-compliant with contractual provision or city policy or procedures. A finding may also be identified as an effect on the schedule or budget or immediate control risk. The observation is the auditor has determined that an issue possesses a possible risk of becoming a finding. An observation might also be a process improvement. The City Auditor's Office identified 11 findings and 2 observations while conducting this audit. So the findings here in slide number 5. Number 1, key performance indicator reporting and performance monitoring process is not adequately implemented. Customer complaints and incidents information are not systematically tracked or reported. Ineffective naming right selection and management. Lack of documented structured vendor selection process. Lack of documented procedures and weak control over asset and inventory. Inadequate control, transparency, and reporting of complementary ticketing. Inconsistent provision of on-site medical emergency coverage at events. Governance and oversight risks in the management of city contracts with operator-affiliated companies. Formal process, procedures, and governance structure are not adequately established. Financial data access and verifiability are limited by the current accounting information sharing process between OVG and the city. Non-compliance with the interest-bearing account requirements. Observations. The contract administrator needs more staff. Comprehensive review and strategic gap analysis of the city management agreement and this facility management agreement between the city and OVG. We set detailed recommendations in our audit report, but here is a brief of the recommendation. Establish a governance framework, formalize an operating agreement between OVG and city that clearly defines rule, approval, threshold, and oversight responsibilities. And what we mean here, to establish policies and procedures shared between the city and the OVG. Standardized performance tracking, implement performance measure protocols for KPI, hold periodic validation meetings, and centralize the tracking of customer complaints and incidents. Strengthen asset management and policy control. Develop formal written policies for asset management, including physical reconciliation, naming right valuation, and risk-based safety medical staffing. Enhance financial transparency, implement independent review of OVG's affiliates and sister companies' contracts. Comprehensive technical review to establish a formalized finance to legal feedback for future contractual negotiation and implement a mandatory review process where finance sign off on the bank and the financial clauses before management agreement are finalized. With that, we issued, management has agreed to have all the actions, and they agreed in total with 6 of our recommendations and partially agreed with 7. With that, I concluded my presentation, and I will invite Jennifer Paxton from Economic Development to provide her insight on the development plan and how they will consider our recommendation.
Jennifer.
Good morning, Jennifer Buxton with Planning and Economic Development. I do want to extend a thank you to the OVG staff that is here today, both from the local office and the corporate office, to help us answer any of your questions. I also want to extend a thank you to the internal audit team for working so collaborative with us as we worked through the findings and the observations. And we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
I got a question. Okay, yeah, and it's kind of, I think, yes, I'll get to that. It's just, I kind of appreciate it in the future, and I should have probably addressed this in the review, is that way we can mention the findings on the slide, because when we had our review, we went straight to the report, and we kind of, I mean, and that's my bad, I just kind of assumed it would be in the presentation. So since we had 11 findings?
Yes, sir. It was included. We have a finding slide.
No. Well, I mean, the thing is that it's not really in detail, and I think it's for transparency's sake. I think for the public, particularly when there's 11. But anyway, go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Awesome.
We didn't. That wasn't part of the slide presentation. That's the point, because the component of which.
Yeah, I'd like just to go through those.
Yeah,
I'd like to go through which.
No, we have them here. They're here in the file.
Right.
It's not part of the. Go ahead.
Which of the 6? Let's walk through the 6 we agreed to. Let's walk through the 7 we partially agree and why we I think it's just because there's some pretty significant
the management
statements.
Responses. Okay.
Yeah, for the public, because I think there's some. Yeah. I think like the statement. I just think there's some I think they're significant, and I'd like the public to hear the responses.
Yeah, can IT put those up? And it's basically in the part of our package that it's the management responses. It's page 74 of our package and page 30 of the overall audit. Am I correct?
Yes, and we'd be glad to go into more detail. Yes.
Yeah, it's of the report issued by the Office of the City Auditor. It's page 74 of the packet and page 30 of the report. Excellent, thank you. No, but it wasn't part of the presentation. It wasn't part of the slide presentation. That's it. Yeah, because I asked for it. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead. Mark?
No, I'd just like to go through it. Let's go through it. Somebody go through it.
Yeah, please, yeah.
So you want me to state the findings and management responses one by one from beginning, or?
Well, just give us an overview, and we'd like because some of these are partially agreed, and so we'd like to understand the specifics with partially agreed.
Okay, so
just go with your recommendation, and we'll ask them for the response.
Okay, so for finding number one, key performance indicator, for example, okay, we recommended different recommendations here. Hold at minimum annual performance review meetings with documented agenda and minutes covering the following. Number one, KPI outcomes and data completeness. Corrective action plans with owners and due dates. City feedback and approval acceptance of the KPI package. Document each KPI definition, calculation method, data source, population coverage, exclusions, and responsible owner. Require a clear linkage between KPI totals and supporting operational financial records, e.g. Event system reports, ticketing summaries, and bank GL total where relevant. So the management here responded, while KPI are tracked annually, management recognize the improvement can be made for year-over-year comparison and standardization. Staff will further develop KPI definitions and formalize a tracking mechanism. Management is looking for alternative for implementation. So that was partially agreed. Would you like to?
Jennifer, can you elaborate on this? Put it in the Reader's Digest version, as Mark says, small sentence, small words, short sentences.
Sure. There is not one Excel spreadsheet that shows performance year over year over year. So why we partially agreed to this was because the tracking of the annual KPIs could be improved by being able to do a comparison. How many more events, how much more money, how much more beer was sold, whatever it was. There are some additional KPIs. They are submitting their performance, but we could track it better so we can show year-over-year improvement.
Now, is there software for that?
There might be. We don't intend to invest in software for that. We intend to track it internally. I don't believe it requires a software investment to do that. This is as simple as being able to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples year over year and being able to demonstrate that.
Councilmember Paxton.
Thank you, Chair. I know that's something that we've asked a lot through City Council is to look at some of these comparison, and I would think a lot of the point of sales and even some of the CRMs should be able to track a lot of this. And so I'm thinking that those would be tools that could be put into good use. Is there an issue with those softwares?
No, I don't believe so. I believe there's just never been a year-over-year compilation of what that looks like.
Okay. I find that surprising because I would think a business of this magnitude would want to be tracking that because that's how you would grow your revenue.
And they are, but we have not been as the city in reference to their contract. Okay. So we have never said to council every year, you know, these are the KPIs and this is the year-over-year performance. I believe the data is there. I believe they are submitting the data. I think there are ways that we can improve how we present that data outward. That's why we've partially
Is this
agreed.
item referencing that relationship that OVG has all those records, but the city's not tracking?
Yes, ma'am, but here also we have a problem. We had a problem with the data source. So we had the information, but we didn't find the supporting documents that backed up this information.
And that would be dealing with OVG software?
Supposedly, yes. Yeah.
Because that would be the source of that information.
Yeah, and we have all that backup. So the KPIs that we're discussing are there's five specific KPIs in our contract: customer service surveys, repairs and maintenance, revenue, event days, hotel and hotel occupancy days attributed to events at the facility. We are tracking all that information, and we do track it year over year. The process up to this point has just been every year we present the information to city administration, discuss where that information came from, but it was all handled on an annual basis. It was never all compiled into one. And I think that's where, moving forward, we will have the documentation that will be showing that every year we're kind of where we're performing in all those measures.
And
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's critical for trend analysis purposes that you'd want to see improvement over time, over multiple years.
I
To your
agree.
point.
I'm just trying to
Yes.
figure out if if they're saying that we're missing some of those tracking mechanisms, they're saying they have them, and you guys are saying that the citations type of information is lacking.
Yes, yes, we believe supporting documents need to be provided more to the city, right? Backing up this information. For example, if you are saying, okay, if you are saying that revenue this year was 11 million, right? Where is the supporting document that shows this data, right?
And we can close that gap.
And we think that information is available. We are just not presenting it in a year-over-year tracking tracking system.
We can work on that, though.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And,
thank you.
And I want to, before we get too deep into this, I want to say that planning and economic development staff, while working with the auditor's office, if there were areas in here where we saw that the city could improve, and I know all of you would say that there are a lot that we can always improve, then we admitted that there was room for improvement and partially agreed. So this was not an all or nothing conversation. This was a very collaborative approach to addressing concerns, and I think the audit office would say the exact same thing.
I see a lot of heads
Yes, we
nodding,
agree.
so thank you.
So as we go through this, I want you to keep that in mind, that just because there was a partial agreement doesn't mean that we think that anything was done wrong. We just think it's an area where we can improve, and we're up for that.
And granted, I guess the thing is, and if I may recommend, let's not just go through the process of reading. I think we can do that. And Jennifer and Danny and Elsie, if you could just kind of address them, just like like I said, in a Reader's Digest version versus us going through the monotonous process of reading each one. Because I think now what I'm gathering in this particular one is that, and Danny here, just before I go any further, what's the standard practice in any other community with regard to the reporting? What's the expectation?
It obviously varies from facility to facility because there's always different styles of reporting that each place is encountering. But for this specific case, like this is a very simple fix.
Okay.
And it's a very simple fix. It's what we had done previously was not as robust as it should be for the city. So we're just going to make sure that we're creating packets and following those proper protocols.
You provide the reporting to the council on a regular basis, so that's the thing, so that's one of the reasons I'm kind of confused. And sometimes I have this saying, we're a solution in search of a problem, and this is a way we can make ourselves bigger, faster, stronger, okay? It's just, when it comes to the audit committee, and it seems like, it's like everybody just wondering, okay, what's going on? Okay, so then can you address then, if you'll get on some later, does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I do. I just want to acknowledge that OVG and this department has not been as steady or stable, because how long have you been in that position, Jennifer?
3 months.
Yeah. And so the contract with OVG is what, 3 years, I think? Yeah. So I think it's the oversight. So again, I'm just acknowledging that there are some things that have not helped to keep, a steady oversight on what, OVG has been doing. I appreciate, all the reports, but again, it comes back to council, because if we don't ask for it or we don't demand it, just like you, if the city's not demanding for you to provide this, you're not going to do it, right? So again, I think we just need to acknowledge that.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I did want to mention the city manager did recognize that, created positions to enhance that, so we're able to work closely with OVG. So thank you for those comments.
All right, thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions on item number 1, can we go on to item number 2? And Jennifer, I'll just let you
Sure.
do the synopsis.
So the management response, there's no system in place to receive customer complaints. And originally our response was, okay, we'll set up something for 311. And then Danny says, well, we don't have to do that. There is software. Think about at the airport when you're in the bathroom, how clean is our bathroom? And you scan those QR codes. OVG is looking into that. So if we're missing soap in the ladies' room, then somebody can scan a QR code, and somebody at facilities at an event can go and put soap in there. And then this item will be taken care of.
Excellent, excellent.
May I? Is it possible to have also a directory phone number that we could put on the website? Because I don't know about most people, but I probably, when I'm at an event, I'm not going to scan a QR code. I'll usually go back if there's an issue and say, who could I contact?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any other question? Okay, ineffective naming rights, selection, and management.
Okay. The existing naming rights process that occurred was compliant with our contract with OVG. It is possible that there is a different way, I'm gonna say a different way that naming rights processes can happen in the future. And we will consider changing those parts of the contract when it opens back up.
Yeah, I love the way you answered that. How long is the current contract?
10 years.
All right, great, okay.
So,
A little bit of issue. This says it was ineffective.
Put your,
I didn't know. Let me talk. I have a little bit of issue because the statement was ineffective, and you're saying it wasn't ineffective, it was compliant.
So
and that's a term, that's
So
not a statement.
the reason that why we partially agreed here is because we acknowledge that there may be room for improvement. And we will evaluate that when the contract opens up and we need a new contract. However, the Planning and Economic Development Department, saw that what happened with the naming rights was compliant with our existing contract. To ask for anything other than compliance with our existing contract, I don't know that that's ineffective. It is in fact compliant with our existing contract. However, could improvements be made the next time we do it? Probably. So I think that we should look at that when we open the contract up, or when we look when this current contract expires.
Okay, well, Mr. Chairman, let the records reflect that I don't necessarily agree with the term ineffective.
all right.
So to clear our position, why we chosen.
No, I mean, if you want to, I think we're good with it, but go ahead.
Sorry, one quick, I think my interpretation of this between those two statements, the breakdown and the bullet point, is that this entity is sorting processes and kind of reflecting those against national standards and practices. And so it's their job to say, according to national standards and practices, we feel this could be more effective, et cetera. So I think that's where those recommendations would come. And I realize that we're already in a contract, and I appreciate that you're acknowledging that, we can revisit that and say, let's get it up to the best standards if there's room for improvement. So I appreciate that.
And if I can add just one point to that, one of the things that we came across as we were working through this process was, are we putting excess government rules and regulations on a private company that is operating a facility on our behalf? What rules apply to them as a private company that we have hired to conduct a business versus the way we would hire a contractor or the process that we would undertake? Where's that line of expectations between, we've hired professionals to do this, do we really want them to follow, our government bureaucracy as they go through that? And so we tried to keep that in mind, and I think some of that, you'll see that bleeds through.
Well, and I think one of the things that I would state is, I think OVG is asking themselves, okay, how do we effectively manage a potential vendor that wants to politicize this and litigate it in the public, and to try and strong arm the public into making a decision? I know when we talked with them, that was something they had never encountered. And so just like the challenges we're dealing with the drought, that's something they had never encountered, and it became highly political. And it's like, how do you manage that? So I know that they're looking at themselves to say, how do we not put ourselves in this position again? Because we just want to provide the best value and the best bang for our buck.
So next time we go through the process, we'll see if there's a better way to do it.
Yeah, so I think it was a learning experience for everyone. I would say the same thing. I don't necessarily think it was ineffective. I think, how do you effectively handle a partner that wants to try and strong arm the situation?
So can I comment on that?
Well,
Can I say
okay,
something?
Go ahead.
Sure.
So ineffective is a standard terminology, right? It's a standard terminology when the process needs more improvement or lack of some elements. So here, we used it properly.
I don't think so. Well, I I would disagree, I think she's going to disagree with me, but I think that just what you said, I don't agree with.
Yeah.
The term ineffective and ability to make improvements, I think are two, and I'm paraphrasing your statement because it's early. I think those are two separate things. And I would interject, since I just took over the mic, I think the real issue is governing body intervention in your process, which I don't know how you, I don't know how you articulate in this audit.
Yeah, and if you refer to page number 13, under the condition, it says exactly what we are expecting with effective process. So we requested formal solicitation or competitive process for naming right. We requested independent market valuation and benchmarking analysis. We requested periodic reassessment of the naming right, but we didn't receive this information. This is why we consider this ineffective. And again, this is standard terminology. Thank
Okay.
you.
If I may.
Councilmember Campos?
Thank you. If I may, thank you. Just to remind everyone that, the naming rights doesn't come very often. It was what, 20 years had it? Okay. So I thought y'all had done a pretty good job. I mean, I think because of Thomas J. Hendry, we were able to secure a lot more for the naming rights because of that. So I believe that it became political when, and I'm going to say, the city manager got involved. I think if we had left it as it should have, which should have been, in my opinion, OVG do their due diligence and do their job and keep us out, that to me would have been the best situation. But again, that's my opinion. So that's the only way that I felt that it got political. So I'm glad to see that we're going to have another opportunity in 10 years. I don't know if OVG is going to be here, but I hopefully we have learned our lesson. Stay out of it. Let the company do their job. Thank you. And you did a good job.
Thank you, board member. Okay, can you address number 4, Jennifer?
Sure, this was about the procurement method and procurement documentation. And this was one of those places where the audit office and city staff, we had some pretty good rounds about this one. The auditor's office wanted to lead towards a process that more mirrored the city's procurement process. And I don't think, where we agreed that there could be better documentation of what the procurement might be. They are a private company. We do not dictate to them that they have to follow state of Texas and city of Corpus Christi procurement rules. So we're going to look at it. We're going to document the process. We're going to evaluate its efficacy, and we're going to go from there. That's why we partially agreed. The department doesn't believe that we need to hold them to the same types of standards that government procurement has.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 5, Jennifer.
Number 5, the asset inventory, they were not part of the Maximo system, and now they are.
Excellent, excellent. I'm sure Councilmember Hernandez will be happy to hear that.
And everybody is. We're very excited. That was a big part. Okay, complimentary tickets. This one's fun. So, complimentary tickets. I've learned a lot about complimentary tickets. So, the number of complimentary tickets, meaning tickets that are given away, varies from event to event. And OVG does not dictate what that number is, but you can look at one artist versus a hockey game, and you can see a big variance. The promoter determines how many complimentary tickets are given. So for an event where they're looking to bring people in, like the ice race, you might see a high number of complimentary tickets given to school groups to come on in and to fill seats. There might be an artist that comes in and gives no complimentary tickets, but that's all determined based on the promoter. So how that is determined between the facility and the promoter, what's agreed to there, and how those are tracked in terms of event revenue. Is that true, Dan? Is that a fair statement? It does vary widely, and how that is tracked and documented can be improved. Is that?
Yeah, and a lot of those promoters, if they don't necessarily, like, we won't get what their final complimentary tickets are, and then day of, they may release some. So like those numbers are gonna even vary after some of those agreements are made. And the facility process has always been, there's a form that people can fill out if the facility has complimentary tickets. Anybody on staff is allowed to fill out one of those forms, and we approve them on a event by event basis.
I do want to make really clear that the complimentary ticket system is between OVG and the promoter. This is not reflective of the city or anybody else inputting themselves into the complimentary tickets. That's not what this is about. I don't want this to turn into some sort of nonsense headline. That's not what this is. This is a tracking mechanism and making sure that it's consistent.
Excellent, excellent. All right, okay, so let's move on to item number 7.
Item number 7. Safety requirements for events are on a case-by-case basis. One type of event does not require the same sort of safety as another.
Basketball and rodeo.
Yeah, so think hard rock band versus, a folk band. You can't imagine that they're the same, right? True story, true story. So how are we documenting what those safety needs are and then making sure that those safety needs are met and that we're covered? Again, that is worked out with OVG and, I don't want to say the promoter, what's the term there?
No, and most of the securities, we have our standards, security, and safety measures that are in place for every event. And then if a show or a specific event is requesting for additional staff, then we will add on top of that. And when it comes to EMTs, which I know was one of the specific ones, we have a policy in place, which we didn't have previously, where if there's an event, anything on over 700 people, we have EMTs on site.
And so the process, where we're looking at is what was determined to be appropriate, and are we documenting that did happen? How are we tracking that? One, to make sure we're adequately covered, and two, for a liability purpose. It is why we partially agreed to this.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
In my past experience, usually the police department actually has a standard of occupancy, of classification of event. From what I've seen, is sometimes the police department will have an emergency action sheet that has to be completed if it's a big event. I know that would specifically apply to an event that the city would do, if we were closing a road for the 4th of July or something like that. But they usually have those types of standards per occupancy, per level of hazard.
Yes, we have our typical staffing protocols. I mean, I believe it's the fire marshal, the state fire marshal says you need to have one trained crowd manager for every 250 people in the building. So all of our staffing protocols are all predicated off of what those needs are. We use police for major arena events. Anything with alcohol, we'll have police. So that way, if there's any incidents or any concerns there, mostly it's done through our third-party security and our guest services.
So your protocol policy has been vetted against our specific local and state?
Yes, we are making sure that we're covering ourselves on all the areas that we need to. Yeah.
And you said you didn't originally have a document of such, but it's new?
For EMTs, we did not. So
for EMTs.
Yeah, so for EMTs, which was the specific example that kind of triggered the conversation with us in the audit department, was that there was no standard for EMT specifically, and what that, like, having something in writing on what that is kind of where we ended up.
See, I find that kind of surprising. If your policy does actually, it has been reviewed against local and state here, EMTs would be included on that. So I feel like that would have been flagged.
Yeah, EMTs are not required for every event.
No, but there is a policy on when they are required.
And that is true, and we don't believe that they are not following that policy. Where we think the improvement can be made is when there's a verification of what was required and what was provided.
So what I'm saying is he said that he didn't have a plan previously for EMTs, and now he does.
EMT, that there might not have been a written plan.
Right, it wasn't in writing, it was part of our staffing protocol.
But that's where I'm saying.
Yeah, it was happening, but the plan wasn't necessarily written down.
And so now we have the plan in place.
And we're gonna track against.
And you guys were able to look at that in comparison with local and state regulations?
So during our audit, that was missing.
That's all was missing? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
So, yes.
Okay.
But we understand what you're saying, and yes.
But we were complying with state standards.
Yes, however, those activities were being carried out appropriately. But at the end of the day, are we checking what we did versus what we should have done and making sure?
Gotcha.
Not necessarily, and we want to dot that I for liability purposes.
Excellent, excellent. All right, well, excellent finding then. Okay, on to the next one is governance and oversight risks. Number 8.
Number 8, okay. So this is about the affiliate agreements. There is a couple of affiliate agreements, correct, Danny? And the auditor's office highly recommended different procurement and tracking methods around affiliate agreements. And affiliate agreements are covered in section 12.3 of the contract. And what we're going to do is implement a tracking system that makes sure that we are in compliance with this section of the contract about transactions with affiliates. It includes without limitation food and beverage services, ticketing services, commercial rights sales, web design services, and graphic design services. OVG can purchase or procure such services or otherwise transact businesses with an affiliate, but how we track that and make sure that it's compliant with this one paragraph, we're going to work on that.
Okay. Interesting. All right. And number 9.
We do not have written standard operating procedures for the oversight of the management agreement between the City of Corpus Christi and OVG. So we have a contracts funds administrator that is part of the HOT team. We are also, there was a position on hold, a special projects manager that the city manager said no hire right now, that is out for applications that would oversee the Hilliard Center complex and our cultural facilities. They're gonna work on standard operating procedures. We don't have a standard operating procedure that says how do we enforce, monitor this contract, and we need one.
All right, we're glad you're here.
So we fully agreed to that.
All right, the next one.
Financial data access and verifiability are limited by current accounting information sharing process. And I will admit the finance department took this finding on and they agreed, and they have said that we are going to institute these changes. We are getting caught up on the audits. I believe the external auditor will be on site at the facility the first week in June. We expect 23, 24, and 25 to be completed this fall. And then moving forward, there's a schedule for submitting the financials to our city financial department, and I think Danny and his team can answer further questions.
All right. We're in the home stretch.
Okay. Non-compliance with interest-bearing accounts, finance also looked at this finding. I want to focus on the second paragraph and the third paragraph. So in this specific case, the finance department did not follow the contract requirement for a non-interest-bearing account because of the cost of maintaining an interest-bearing account coupled with the low interest rate offered was not favorable to the Hilliard Center. Instead, finance chose to sweep the funds into the city's pooled investment portfolio, which generated approximately $560,000 in interest income from June 22 through September 25. The finance department should have recommended an amendment to the contract. So finance recommends amending the management agreement to specify the use of a non-interest bearing account. What that means is we made more money doing it the way they did it versus if we had done it the way the contract was written. I don't expect compliance with our existing contract anytime soon. How finance wants to amend that, or if we do some sort of addendum, I don't know what that's going to be, but if we can make more money putting it as part of the city's pool versus a separate interest-bearing account, we're gonna continue to do so. But, there we go.
Okay, observations.
So observation number one, we jumped on as absolutely fast as possible. We do think that adequate staffing would have addressed a lot of these items. We do need somebody that is assigned to the Hilliard Center complex and the other cultural facilities. When we discussed this review with the city manager, that day, we had the job posted. So I want to say this is a priority. We were able to make an offer last week, but the offer was turned down, so we've gone back out for reposting. And it remains a priority for both the department and ELT to get that position fixed, so we can move forward on this. The second observation we also agreed with, this was about tracking lessons learned, and of course we agree.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, are there any other questions? All right, so is there a motion to accept the report? Second. All right, there's a motion in multiple seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, the motion carries. Thank you very much for all your diligent work and all your hard work, and we really appreciate it. I'm glad everybody's working together here. Here, I'm gonna move to, okay, the next one is the motion to accept the police property room follow-up report.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
may I apologize with the rescheduling of this meeting. I had a prior commitment already scheduled at 10 o'clock, so you'll please excuse my absence. I will have to depart.
Okay, sure, sure.
Thank you.
Hey, can I ask you to stay while I run to the restroom?
Sure.
That was a little public.
You know what, I have to go too. Why don't we just take a quick brief rest for a bathroom break? Give us one moment. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Is it me or me introducing you? What are you doing? No. Oh, no. Oh, no. Just because I put too many.
You know, you heard it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I ended up putting it in the back, so yeah.
All right, we're going to reconvene. It is 10:04. I appreciate everybody being brief. So let's go ahead and go into, and there's an event at 11. So we may have to,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
yeah.
I have a commitment.
So let's go ahead and move on to the property room follow-up report. And there's no slide presentation for that, so let's go ahead, right? And then, George, let's just get into, go a brief
Yes.
under review without having to read.
Absolutely.
And then we can do the same thing, and we can have the police department just kind of review the same situation. So we could put, yeah, there you go. Somebody could read my mind.
Okay.
Good job.
So there were no findings and 6 observations with associated recommendations, and management accepted 5 of the 6 recommendations and implemented 2 and committed to implementing corrective actions for the remaining recommendations. So essentially here, you can see in the report that, and we want to commend the police department for their cooperation. They've always been excellent. Working relationship has been very collaborative in nature. We've always tried to be proactive in addressing issues that could happen, maybe not occurring currently, but in the future could be a risk. So we applaud the police department for taking these corrective actions. I'm going to hand over to Samantha because I believe she did the field work. And this is also the succession planning that I mentioned earlier to get the team used to presenting in audit committee. Thank you, Samantha.
Good morning. As we can see on the screen, recommendation 1 is still in progress. And I believe we were told sometime between late June, early July, the new lockers would be installed. Number 3 was not implemented. We were advised that facility maintenance does not do routine inspections. They only address work orders. So if something were to happen, they would show up and address the issue. And the rest have been implemented.
All right, Chief White, any response?
No, sir, I appreciate the work you guys did. I brought Pat and Rose with me from the property room and our records manager. They had an excellent working environment, and they enjoyed the team, and we got some good recommendations. We put them all in place except for the one with the no action, so.
All right, excellent. So do I hear a motion to approve?
Yes, motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion to accept and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Here, so what's the status on engineering? I see Buck here. Is he the one that, okay, so let's go ahead and go back to that. And it's just really me, I mean, and I guess my true concerns, Buck, go ahead.
I'm so
Go ahead,
sorry.
Mark.
Did we, did you guys know we were talking about this today? Did engineering know that we were going to address this issue
No,
today?
we are not ready for this. We don't even have this meeting invite on our calendars. So Jeff is at another meeting, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Janet is also at another meeting, but we.
Well,
No, that's fine. I think you're, I'm just saying that I'm, and you may, you guys ought to think, did you email them? Did you not email them? Did they not respond? I just, there's a missing link there. I'm not mad. It's just, you're not prepared, so.
And I know we're trying to figure out the process. I've seen it, I'm not making excuses for us, but there's other agencies, I should say, that have a problem with a posting error. Because everything is, it's just like the city secretary's office. You don't appreciate what I do until I don't do it. And I think with the new guidelines, sometimes trying to get, if you ask the city secretary's office, it's hurting the cats of 29 different lines of 20 different divisions to get all the information. And I think sometimes that puts us, and that's where we've been, and we've had these inconsistent meetings. So I want to make sure everybody understands that we're just trying to catch up to the learning curve. We could do a better job, so. Anyway, but here, I tell you what, if you'll allow me just to address them, when we can probably do it in a follow-up later. And I just still want to address that, we paid $50,000 for this audit, and I'm glad that it came about. Honestly, Kelly, Ken, but I just look at the value. And I think it's important that we address this, and I'm not saying that we terminate our contract with them. I think we kind of need to review it, and that way we determine the scope, and maybe we review that contract. Because for us to go through all this process to find two contractual findings with regard to, one for insurance, and then here's my pet peeve, and I'll put the deal behind this. I used to be the chairman of a minority advocacy group for the state. And so things like this would infuriate me. And the reason being is because I think we're probably incorporate a process to try, and I think we're just checking the box. And my argument has always, as it was back then, over a decade ago, was why even bother if we're just doing it for that purpose? So my question is, how did we determine the 45% minority participation? And and that is with regard to staffing. That's not regard to the contractual amounts, correct?
Yes, we normally just pull from the federal guidelines at the time. So this contract was done, I want to say, in 22. So that was probably the federal guidelines at the time.
And are the guidelines regionally specific, or is it just overall?
I think they're overall.
Okay, and then the minority business entity?
The guidelines were overall, the 51%.
The 15%?
The 15 and 45, I believe.
Yes, the
They're
15
overall
and the
federal.
45%, and overall, we get those requirements from the state and the federal contract.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily a requirement.
It is not a requirement, it is a goal.
They're aspirational.
Yes.
Yeah, they're aspirational. So my thing is that how do we determine that there's a good faith effort?
So it is a goal. So engineering services was waiving that requirement in the past, but this is a bond 2020 projects, it's a city projects, very old contracts. Recently, the state and the federal government requirements are changing, so we may have to revalidate and then enforce them, so.
Well, the thing is that the federal government is moving towards the direction of eliminating them, of which I'm not, as a minority advocate, I'm not opposed to, because I believe it's the same thing. We've got this deal where we're checking the box, because number one, it's not federal monies.
Yes, that's correct.
So
The
there's no
bond-
requirement for us to
Yes.
do one at all.
Yes,
And so, but yet we have that in the contract.
yes.
And so why do we have it in the contract if there's no requirement?
So the contracts are templates, right? So we try to put everything in there, so maybe, that's the reason it was in the contract.
I would also mention, I guess it's still aspirational, so it doesn't, I guess, hurt anything it ensures that if in the event that we did have any federal money or state money tied up into a project accidentally or whatever, we're covered. So it's kind of a risk mitigation factor to have it standard across all.
Well, see, and then I'm just bringing this, and I'll put a bow on it, because I want to talk about it later, and not necessarily waste everybody's time. See, my frustration as a minority business, as a DBE, as a historically underutilized business, is what's the point? If you're just doing this, if it's aspirational, all right? Because the program for both programs are based on good faith. And in my opinion, if we're just using it and it's aspirational, then what's the key performance indicator of good faith? People are begging me to get certified, and I think so that way I can serve the purpose of the organization, not to increase a demographic that's not typically used. So that's my point. I mean, and I think we really need to examine this, because the finding basically is number one, I'm of the opinion that we're just checking the box, and then we have it in place, and then we're not even doing that.
So engineering partially agrees with this recommendation, so that's the reason we are updating our forms and we are trying to get that information from the contractors.
Okay, but but what I want to do, here's my thing. Let's say, for example, if I'm a prime, okay? I'm not included as part of the participation. It's not 100% if I'm a prime. So what is it? And the frustration is that once again, you're creating this bureaucratic contractual agreement that doesn't do anything other than satisfy that there's an attempt. There's no purpose in it, because it does nothing to increase minority, women-owned, or veteran-owned businesses.
So for the veteran-owned businesses, they fall under the goods and services. We do follow the veteran-owned businesses requirements and those. But the construction project falls under public works. It's a construction, so it has different Texas requirement. So that we need to follow a different code for that.
But there's no requirement.
Yeah, but.
That's what
again-
I'm saying, there's no
Yeah.
requirement.
We could go back and discuss with legal about reevaluating to remove it and add it to the contracts that are federally funded.
And that's my thing, once again, we just need to be conscientious, because like I said, as a minority business that participates, it's very frustrating to have to go through this, and I use the term loosely, facade, because somebody is trying to say, we're doing our part, when we're really not. And then if we go, and then más triste, pardon my Hispanic, is that then we're making people do more paperwork when it's not really, it's not serving the purpose it should be. So I'm gonna leave it at that, we can discuss it later.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir, can Telson respond to that respectfully?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay,
She's Towson.
no,
Well, I'll defer if there's comment from the committee member.
Go ahead.
I was just going to mention that, you know, if we're trying to align ourselves with the present federal government right now, it's chaos. I mean, so, you know, rules that were in place, policies that were in place decades ago are now being erased or what have you. But to that point, I still would like to see our own city uphold some of these aspirations, I guess, the word, and some of these goals that, you know, in order to make a more equitable and living place to work at, you need diversity. So I hope that y'all would look at this and not so much more as what the federal government is doing presently, but what our values are as here in our city government. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, we hear the feedback from the committee, and we'll have conversation internally about it and get back to you.
And Ken, if you want to opine, I think we're good.
Yeah, I would just add two minor comments, and I'll be very, very brief. The observations really deal with compliance to your existing contract. I think you're on point about continuing discussions about what the goals are, how you arrived at the goals, aspirational requirement. That's a business decision that the city needs to make. And again, I think you're on point with that. The more important component that comes out of this finding is that there's two areas of non-compliance. They are directly related to the reporting of the minority participation and the minority business enterprise participation. Without that reporting, you can't determine whether or not your goals are correct or not. There was an initial document that said there was going to be 12% minority business enterprise participation, but there was no verification documentation. That was waived. And so if that's the trend in all of the city projects, then you have a little bit of a bigger issue, because there's a lack of reporting, which will feed into the really bigger issue is what do you want to have as your goals.
And Chairman, quickly, we did address that, so we have updated our forms and our compliance, so just so you're aware.
Okay, all right. All right, are there any other questions? If none, do I hear a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you so much, and then we'll work on our communication.
Thank you.
So I want to move around again. I'm going to go to the employee verification audit report. I know we're running low on time, and I think, number one, the other items are of extreme importance.
Yes, sir.
And so I think maybe we address those we can probably pool a time, that way we can all, and I think those could probably deserve its own meeting.
Yes, they are time sensitive because of the budgeting process.
Yeah, so I would just kind of review that, and then we go from there. Because I know everybody's got someplace they have to be at 11. Okay, so let's go ahead and go, and this one I'm going to be, again, a little difficult, and the reason being is obviously I work in this industry, and I have some, but George, I'll leave it off to you, and then we'll go from there. So this is for the human resources.
Just for clarification, okay, so we're not going to do the decision packets that are needed for budget, though?
We're at the employee beneficiary verification. Oh, I'm sorry, that is tab number 9.
Can I get input from budget on that? Is Amy back there? Would you provide feedback if we can wait on these decision packets, please? Thank you.
Good morning, Amy Cowley, Director of Management and Budget. If we are going to postpone the next meeting to August, that would be after the proposed budget, which would be presented to City Council on July 28th. So we would need some direction, especially for the more significant budget item, over $10,000. We would need some more direction on whether or not to move
I
forward
can
with
provide
that.
some direction, Mr. Chair. I was fully prepared to come to the meeting when it was originally scheduled. I have a conflict that I need to be at 11. I didn't reschedule this. You all did. We had a meeting scheduled in June that I guess we just moved to August. That was y'all's decision, not mine. I'm not going to be able to stay around for that decision package today. So if you all would like my input, then let's schedule another meeting in June. But I'm a little sensitive that, hey, we need you to stay around, and man, I was ready to stay around when it was originally scheduled. It got moved, as it has a number of times, so my frustration level is high, Mr. Chairman.
I would agree with that. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so are we saying that we're not going to be able to have any meetings in June?
No, I think we'll get one scheduled as quickly as possible. I think the thing is that we need to find out.
Okay, so right now it's 10:23, we should be able to finish at least this one, right?
Yeah, we're going to finish this one, but the thing is, the decision package with regard to the budget and employee compensation, that has to be addressed. And what I would suggest is that perhaps you do one-on-one meetings with each council member, so that way they can be fully briefed, so that way by the time we come to a meeting, it's not cold.
Yeah, that makes sense. What is the time frame for that you're thinking of?
I would start this afternoon to try and start scheduling one-on-ones with each council member.
Yes.
And then start trying to get on their schedules.
And just for clarity too, the reason for the postponement was the lack of the ACFR.
Here, don't worry about that.
Okay, thank you.
We can deal with that on another basis. Let's
thank you.
stick with the business at hand. All right, okay, so then let's go ahead and move on to tab number 9, the Human Resource Employee Benefit Verification Audit Report.
Okay, and I'm going to hand over to Amir to lead this presentation. We have a PowerPoint presentation.
You don't have to read it word for word, okay?
No,
You can just synopsis.
Okay,
You can go to the presentation, but you don't have to read it word for word.
Yeah, this is very short one. I mean, it's only 4 pages, unlike the other one.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you again, Amir Hussein, Audit Manager. So this is employee verification, beneficiary verification. So the objective for this audit to determine if an eligible recipient receive city health insurance benefit. And the scope period for that was for the calendar year 2023. So overall conclusion, during the scope period, the benefit processes rely on manual steps such as paper forms for terminations and dependent updates, which increases the chances of delays and errors. Important requirements like submitting documents on time or providing proof before adding dependents are not automatically enforced. So I will jump quickly here. The management responded with, so we had 6 recommendations, right? So the management agreed with 3 and partially agreed with the remaining 3. So the findings quickly, 104 terminated employees were improperly listed as eligible for healthcare benefit. So just for clarity, 140 over 700 employees. So the identified terminated employee that were improperly listed was 140. Estimated amount of 31,000 is overpaid administrative fees. This is, we consider that unnecessary cash outflow. And again, this is estimated amount based on the information available. Dependent eligibility documentation was missing 60% of the sampled cases. One instance of former employee receiving services from the wellness clinic after termination. Sensitive personal information contained on qualifying life events form. And the last one, lack of formal documented policies and procedures pertaining to the healthcare benefit. Recommendation, we set up 6 recommendations. Number 1, develop an automated system to ensure an accurate record. 2, develop a policy to require Form 12A, this is termination form, to be submitted to HR benefit division and to the payroll division within 1 working day of being terminated. Develop an automated workflow to process changes for all employees' salaries and benefit. HR should ensure there is documentation to support eligibility for dependents. Number 5 here, HR should work with IT to develop self-services automated workflow processing to accommodate employee qualifying life events. HR should comprehensively review policies and procedures associated with the healthcare benefit at least once at least every 1 to 3 years, and update and appropriate and publish an employee connect.
Okay, if you go to the actual report, so I'm gonna go to, if you pull, okay, you've got the executive summary. I don't know, it's up here, executive summary, whatever it is that they have. So, yeah, right, 121. So if you look at it, page 5 of the executive summary of the deal, which those aren't numbered, not page 5. I'm over here. So here's the thing, I'm very sensitive to this, okay? I found an error back in the background section, and I just think it's important because we need to have credibility when we're doing items like this, and I always worry about a solution in search of a problem. You know, there's a statement in here with regard to eligibility. Employees in a regularly budgeted position routinely assigned to work 40 hours per week, right? And the thing is that the Affordable Care Act requirement is 30 hours. So was that a report that we submitted, or is it an HR issue?
That is stated on the benefits guide, the 40 hours.
So it's stated on the benefits guide, have we corrected that?
It is stated on the benefits guide 40 hours per week because at 40 hours a week, they're eligible for all benefits. We have not made the correction, but we will do it for the upcoming fiscal year because for medical only is the 30 hours per week or more.
Okay,
40
so-
or more is all benefits.
And I might want to add, that's not a finding that you found, okay? So that kind of frustrates me because I think here we are, and so I'm going to go on to the next item. If we go on to the next page.
Point of clarification, what do you mean that you're frustrated that we didn't find it? When it's an error that was admitted just seconds ago. I'm really not,
Well,
I'm
in
gonna
other words,
disconnect here.
in other words, I think the professionalism of the department should be able to know something of that. And if we don't, that's okay.
Well, it's not okay, because the error was not on our part, we're not responsible for that.
No, you didn't do it as a finding.
Yes.
It's not a
Okay.
finding. If you're doing an audit, I would have expected it to be a finding.
So this is background information here.
I'm sorry?
This is background
I
information.
understand.
But he's saying it should be a
But
finding.
it should have been a finding if you found it, if you said that statement on the benefit summary. In other words, we didn't access it as a finding, and I would have, if I had been audited, I would have put that as a finding, because it's very important. It's a requirement. And it you know, so I think it's important that it's addressed. I mean, if you want to argue about how I feel about it or whatever, that's not my concern. I just want to know that it's getting fixed, and I'm assured that it has. Okay, now, there's another deal. The City of Corpus Christi stop loss pays up to $300,000 per employee or dependent participating plan in the planned fiscal year. And Joseph, I'm not, you did this? Did you do this? Yeah.
Yes, in
Okay,
conjunction
and you
with-
know, and when we can talk about it, I guess that's the thing, because it's not up to, it's in excess of the 300,000. So I just want to address that. So I think we just need to make sure we do a correction, so that way if somebody comes back and review it. And then it says to determine the new premium rate, the total claims paid are divided by the head count. The latest rate is then compared against the current employee contribution premiums. That's not entirely accurate. So let's just go ahead and take time to review that. And then the city then receives a bill for its out-of-pocket portion, covering any remaining costs not covered by the city's health plan. So yeah, we'd have to refer to the plan document on that one.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Okay.
Excellent, excellent, I appreciate that.
So findings of the 31,571, can we go there?
Well, here's the thing, if you get me
What
there.
is the thing?
The thing is that there weren't any claims, right? There weren't any claims costs. And the 31,000 was reimbursed because of the fact that it's a flow problem. So would you like to explain?
Correct. So going back to 2023, back to when these particular employees, this list of employees found there were 140 that were found to be on the administrative fee subscriber list by Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we were charged administrative fees after the fact. We were never given the dollar amount, but we did go back and review the statements, which were the same statements that the audit team had. And when we reviewed the statements, there was a dollar amount of approximately $14,985. We had received credits in the amount of $13,551.
558.
I apologize, I need to find it on here.
It's 558.
Yes, 13,558. So overall, the difference that we actually paid was 50904. That was due to some terminated employees that had been enrolled in COBRA, as well as some that were terminated on the second day of the month rather than the first. So the way Blue Cross Blue Shield charges, they are charged the administrative fee because their benefits do go through the end of the month.
Yeah. And see, the thing is that, as I explained when we met, is there's a lag throughout the process, and it's a problem over the course. What is it? It's a system-wide problem. It's not necessarily exclusive, and that's one of the things I want to clarify for human resources. So once again, I think maybe we should look at that. Is it a challenge with regard to the carrier and how the carrier handles it? Because that's the same thing we encounter, and I'll give you a simple example, is Blue Cross only bills on the 20th. And so if you have a termination that, let's say, for example, it was on the 20th.
Chairman, can we move, it's 10:35.
I am moving.
Okay,
Hey,
move
if you'd
forward.
like, yeah,
Okay.
my apologies. If you'd like to leave, you're welcome to.
I'm trying to stay with it, so
I
go
appreciate
ahead.
it.
Yeah.
So my point is that it's just a concern that if it's a finding, then we really need to look at what's the process that encumbers it. And as the point I was saying, if an employee is terminated on the 20th and the billing comes out at that point, and then let's say, for example, the department hasn't reported it timely, then you're going to have a lag, even though it is an automated system. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So to account for so they're termed at the end of the month, right? You said they're billed on the 20th, and then if an employee is terminated, they have until the end of the month for their benefits. So our testing included 2 months past termination. So that's where you see the 140.
And the thing is that, as I said before, once again, if you go through a process, or if there's a breakdown in the automated system, because we encounter it on a regular basis, and the only stopgap is to be able to audit manually, And then when you think of the time to have a staff member go through to audit it manually, then it comes to the point, because there were no funds lost, am I correct? So there were no funds lost, and they were self-funded. And were there any claims that were paid that shouldn't have been paid?
Keep in mind, please, that this was a sample, so this was not 100% testing. Okay.
That's kept in mind.
Yeah,
It's kept in
please,
mind.
thank you.
So, but of the sample, there were no claims that were.
No, sir.
So that's the thing, we're self-funded. So from the standpoint and the carrier is cognizant of what their shortcomings are, then they could go to that. I'll just address this here, for at the sake of time, since we want to, I think there's some things that we need to consider. Number one, is there any loss with regard to the city, with regard to any claims? I think the other thing that we're planning on the finding is that, where was it?
Recommendations?
I'm going to go here, okay, yeah, recommendation number 2. Okay, as far as the required recommendation, so I just think that we need to add that, once again, what is the best practice? Because the carrier does not require any documentation. So no carrier, now if there's a claim, and I think if we go through that process where we recognize there's a claim, and there's a process that I've recommended that we utilize to be able to ensure that we don't have any lost claims, that if there's an individual, the entire system, meaning Blue Cross, United, Cigna, Aetna, Humana, and all the other carriers, they go based on the honor system. It's not a requirement of them that you provide a birth certificate or a marriage license or what have you. Now, that we could do that, I understand. But I think the thing is that we need to recognize what's the value of doing that, in essence, to be able to require an additional bureaucratic requirement that the carrier doesn't require, when we can go back and we can view that process once, again, you're self-funded. So I tell you what, this has been going on for a long, long time. You know, I'd be fine to entertain a motion to go ahead and accept it because you've accepted it. I just want to be able to, and Joseph, you and I can visit together so that way we can sharpen that saw and make it better. Because I want to say one thing, my compliments is, this is an extensive report that you did. Now, a lot of it, I think if we'd have gone into it adequately understanding how the industry works, all right, then it could have been much less laborious on your part. Because in essence, there's not much that we found going back to the same thing with that. Okay. Madam?
Yes, Chairman. Okay, so when we approve this report, we're saying we're accepting the whole report, correct? So I still have, I'm just looking at this page 146 of the city auditor's update, and it projects in progress, the A24-SP2 Human Resources Recruiting and Pre-boarding. That's what I was more interested in. I know that you're an insurance guy, so we know that you're very knowledgeable, but I really would like to continue at least discussing those issues.
Well, it's in progress. It's not on the agenda.
Well, I still would like to discuss it.
But it's not on the agenda.
Isn't this projects in okay, so we're not going to be able to discuss it at all?
I mean, we can put it on the agenda.
Okay, so let's put it on the agenda.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion to accept the report? So moved. All right, there's a motion?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries. Okay, so it's 10:40, and we're going to adjourn, and you're going to get with each board member so that way we can review each of the information. And then feel free to talk to them about that.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, I wanted to talk to our HR, but...
Yeah, I
Okay,
think you can
well.
talk to them. I think they'll accept your calls. All right, and then, but the homework is we're going to get everybody with regard to the items that we missed, meet with them one-on-one, and get a meeting scheduled as quickly as possible. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.